Hi guys, I'm going to be talking about genetic traits, dominant and recessive. So, has anyone told you to look like your mom or your dad? This is because you inherited their traits. As most of you know, you inherit traits from organisms. You inherit traits from your parents. There are different forms of genes called allele. There are dominant and recessive allele. The definition of dominant is an allele or gene that is expressed in an organism's phenotype, masking the effect of recessive allele or gene when it's present. The definition of recessive is of or pertaining to a gene or allele whose phenotype expression is masked by a dominant gene or allele. Speaking of phenotype, the definition is what you look like. So basically, a dominant allele will be a recessive allele. Most genes have 2 copies of each gene, so you inherit from your mother and father. So here's an example. Allele 1, your mom, and allele 2, your dad. They both have brown eyes. If they both have brown eyes, what color eyes would have you most likely gotten? You would have most likely have gotten brown eyes. But let's mix it up a little bit. If one of your parents are blue-eyed and the other is brown, what color eyes would have you gotten? You would have gotten the dominant color. But what if they had the same dominance? You would get a mix of both blue and brown eyes. Okay, here is a weird question. Can you roll your tongue? If you can roll your tongue, you probably inherited one dominant allele from each parent, and or you inherit one dominant allele and one recessive allele. You would still be able to roll your tongue because there was a dominant allele. If you cannot roll your tongue, you inherited one recessive allele from each parent. But sources say that tongue rolling is from one single gene, but people can learn how to roll their tongue whilst they get older. This proves that not just genes are influenced by this trait, but the chemical BTC tastes very bitter to 75% of us. But for the next 25% of us, it's just tasteless. The ability to taste BTC is controlled by only one gene. Okay, let's take a quiz. If you choose 1, you have a dominant gene, and if you choose 2, you have a recessive gene. Okay, number 1, cleft chin. Number 2, no cleft chin. Number 1, widow's peak. Number 2, no widow's peak. Number 1, dimples. Number 2, no dimples. Number 1, brown and or black hair. Number 2, blonde hair. Number 1, freckles. Number 2, no freckles. Number 1, brown eyes. Number 2, gray and or blue eyes. Number 1,
created using Powtoon.